This is Ramped Up.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Ramped Up. I'm Jack Laudano, joined by Brad
Lofton
and Shaun
Njovens.
And we're going to talk to you today a little bit about where VCU sports currently stand, as well as our look into VCU basketball seasons overall and March Madness, along with our predictions for the weekend. But before we get to that, let's talk about tennis for a little bit. Shaun, you got some stuff to tell us?
Our tennis guy.
Yeah, our tennis expert.
So our women's tennis team, first of all, Diaz DeGallo, congrats to her for winning her third Rookie of the Week award. She had a really great showing against the teams Cincinnati and Huntington. And against those teams, she basically led the Rams to a 2-0 weekend, and against Cincinnati, a 4-3 win. And the men's tennis team, also congrats to Torrey Martin, because that's also his third A10 Rookie of the Week award, and he actually led the Rams against a really hard win against Texas A&M Corpus Christi with 2 singles and two double victories. And then also in the Rice Invitational tennis tournament in Texas, the Rams won 2 of their games against Texas A&M Corpus Christi and Rice, which the tournament was held at. But in the end of the weekend, they ended up losing to Wichita State 4-0, which is kind of disappointing because the Rams, the men's tennis team, they started off 6-0, and ever since then they've been 4-6. So, what do you guys think about that?
I think it's really good. I mean, it's kind of good to see VCU tennis kind of go up in the uprising. I mean, kind of hear that buzz on campus and everything. So, what's your thoughts, Jack?
I mean, I just think it's always great to see the VCU team at least, performing above an average standard, to the point that it really shows that our student athletes aren't only dedicated to their academics, but they're focused on their athletics as well, and they're succeeding on all fronts by the looks of it for tennis, at least to the point of being able to be at a point where they can reach their goals for the postseason if they continue their role and get there.
Yeah, I think that the beginning of the season, you're coming straight off of workouts, you're really excited for the season to start, and you go out there, try your hardest, and do what you can do. And I think that's why they're 6-0, because they were just so excited. They got their first win. All right, let's go get another one. And also, beginning of the season, I mean, to be honest, usually you're not playing those high caliber teams. You're starting off on kind of a little low or medium. So against those teams, I felt like they were doing great. But then what you got is, as you see, a Wichita State team, which is 12-8. And also a very high caliber team. I guess they just couldn't handle it. So at least now that they lost, even though it's sad, they just know they need to get back to work so they can improve their game and hopefully get the season running again.
This is definitely going to attract potential recruits, and I mean, we're VCU is known as a basketball school, but maybe we can throw that tennis out there as well. But
hey, we got to be hopeful, and now we just know we can look forward to at least a postseason for a tennis team, which is always fun to watch. So now let's talk about baseball, too. Baseball's looking pretty hot. They're on a 12-game win streak, and right now, as we're filming this show, they're facing UVA out at the Diamond, pending rain. So, they started the season 2-8, and they struggled by the looks of it, but now they're on a 12-game winning streak. Where do we see this team going from here, and what do we think could really happen?
national title.
Hey, anything's possible.
If you're not first, you're last.
Agreed.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of early to call that, but as I said, I feel like if they're on a 12-game win streak, they kind of know what they're doing. Hopefully, they're getting their
Their chemistry together.
Their chemistry together. I was about to say synchronization, but their chemistry together, and that's definitely chemistry. Always on a sports team is definitely the number one thing, and that's why other teams are greater than others, because they work together well.
One interesting thing that I want to note, too, about baseball that they dealt with in the recent week is that they had a game against the University of Rhode Island that was probably one of the most intriguing games that I think this team's had in a long time. This game went to 15 extra innings, and the game ended on a wild pitch walk for the game-winning run for VCU. Now, I couldn't imagine sitting at a baseball game for that long with that little of action where the game is won on a wild pitch walk. I can understand a wild pitch and someone stealing it from third, but that's just so anticlimactic. So
I can't even imagine being a player for Rhode Island during that. I mean, you just got to be like I don't even know. You just got to be pissed, to be honestly. I mean, you just don't lose games that way, just on careless errors, on something like that. So
It's also pretty diminishing. Just it's got to be some inspiration for this Rams team to at least want to go out there and be more of an offensive team and collect more runs in each game. So you never know. This could be a turning point for either of these teams to really make an offensive push.
I mean, I also think, just kind of scrapping out runs with any way you can. I mean, we're not a big home run team, so I do think kind of just scrapping those little runs out can kind of just build the momentum to eventually get to the point where our hitting does kind of feel confident, where it kind of swing it out of the park. So
Definitely, and the best thing about baseball, power isn't everything. You don't need power to score runs. So now we can move on to track, and our track team's had a very interesting season. Shaun, you've got more information about that.
Yes, I do. Our track team is actually doing very well. Around 2 weeks ago, we had a Rams Invitational event, and actually there were 6 seniors on the men's 4x400. No, wait, there were 6 seniors that ran in that meet that won first place in their races. And the 4x400, they actually won their race by over 2 seconds. And I actually did track, and 2 seconds, even though that seems like a short time, it's a long period of time in track. And that team was led by Bagal Harrison. And then also on Saturday they had the Bull Run Invitational, which is a meet that's held in Florida. And again, their 4x400 team did very well. They placed top 5 in the 4x400, and of all the other in the 400 meter by itself, not the 4x400, there were 4 BC Rams that placed top 15 in their races, which is actually really good. Because there are so many people running top 15, even though it's like a long.
There were a ton of teams.
Yeah, there were a ton of teams, top 15, even though there are a lot of runners, like top 15, that's really good. And again, another person that we should keep our eye on is Bagal Harrison. He placed in 9th place in the 400 meter, and top 10 in the 400 meter, especially at the Invitational. Again, I ran track, that's very, very well. And one thing I can say is, even though he's really fast at running, he's also very, very fast at rapping. He's a really good rapper. I feel like maybe if his track career will also help his rap career, but I can't lie, I listen to his music and I feel like he's really good.
Maybe his speed with his vocals could just be attributing to his speed on the track. Who knows?
Who knows?
That's definitely something to keep an eye on. Brad, you got anything to say about that?
we fast.
Yeah? Agreed. All right, boys. Now let's move into basketball. It was a tough season for us. We didn't have the results that we were looking for. The first time that I've been at BCU that we lost to Richmond both times in the season. Almost kind of embarrassing, but it's something to build on, and I feel like it gives this team a good bit of grit. What are you guys looking for going forward from this team?
I look forward to seeing Deontay Jenkins and just kind of the younger. We had 5 freshmen on the team. One of them's transferring May, but we have 4 other ones. So I kind of look forward to kind of seeing I just kind of look forward to kind of seeing the young guys grow.
Yeah, the potential of the youth definitely is strong. Shaun, what about you?
Well, as I said, I'm not really surprised by our year this year. I knew this was going to be as what they call a rebuilding year. There were 8 new players. We lost some. And when you have a team of 8 new players, just unless you all are maybe top 10, the top ESPN 100, you guys, there's no way you're going to go that far because you don't even know each other. You guys, again, you need to work on your chemistry. And like I said, chemistry is such a huge thing when it comes to sports. And I remember one thing I really did like about this team, though, is I believe VCU, we play really good against, good teams. Against Texas, we were down, I think, 19 at the half. We came back, and literally we were up, 5 with, 3 minutes left. And then even though it aggravates me to this day how we lost that lead, then against UVA, it was a close game the whole entire game. And then I remember Johnny hits a 3 and literally ties the game with
we got within 1.
Yeah, within 1, and there was literally a minute left. And then of course Kyle Guy has to go off for whatever reason. But
we also should have had Richmond beat at Richmond.
Yeah,
that game was in our hands. We just let that slip away.
Yeah,
so that was a cheap win for them. But, at this point, let them have what they want.
Yeah, like I said, like when you
We also had that impressive win in the A10 tournament over, it was St. Bonaventure's, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bonaventure.
Yeah,
St.
no, that
Bonaventure.
was an impressive win. And we held our own against Rhode Island, at least until that last minute or so, and then things just slipped away from us again.
And then
So-
we went against Dayton in the first round. I thought that was a pretty good win too.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like once this team can learn how to really close out games and collect their wins the way they really should, we can see a really great season next year.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, get well, Isaac Ben. He just had knee surgery yesterday. So
Agreed. I saw that. Best wishes to you, Isaac. And now let's move on to how we feel this recruiting class could be for VCU. We've got two notable people coming in. We've got Kevin Williams and PJ Bird, who are looking like they could be a bit of another resource to really help shape this team for the future. What do you guys really think is important for them to be able to succeed once they get here?
I think kind of getting used to the Mike Rhodes is like his defense, because he does a lot of full court press, and I know a lot of our players this year just weren't used to it. I mean, it's not something that most teams do, so I mean, just kind of getting used to that, his offense and defense. I mean, he usually plays a small lineup, so I mean, just kind of getting used to that.
One thing I really think that we need are players with very high motors. People don't really understand how hard it is to play a full game of basketball. I know for a fact I've seen Johnny Williams play a full game of basketball, and I've seen Justin Tillman also play a whole full game of basketball. And I remember, I think it was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. I remember literally it was fourth quarter, maybe 3-point game, and I was expecting them to be super tired, and they're just still playing defense, making plays. Effort is a huge thing in basketball that people really don't understand that you need, and it's effort and heart, and those are two things that I really believe that we need. These are two things that we need with the recruitment class that we get, because if we just get people
for success.
Yeah, if we just get people that are skilled, but okay, I just feel like I'm about to go to the NBA in a few years, then I don't really care if we win this year. Then
We don't want that attitude.
We really don't want the attitude.
Yeah.
We need an attitude of people that are, I'm going to come here, we're going to win the championship this year, and we're going to win the A10 and have very high goals and set those high goals and make sure they accomplish them. And on another note, I feel like position-wise, I feel like we needed a very, very good point guard, because as of right now, we have very good big men like Lewis Joncom, Marcus, what's his last name?
Not entirely sure.
Yeah, and then
know
also
the whole roster.
Sean Hobley.
Marcus Santos Silva.
Yeah, Santos Silva.
Santos
Yeah, those are
Silva,
both
right.
very good, talented big men that I feel like in the next few years will grow. We need point guards that can help them grow, because the point guard big man relationship is a very good, very important thing in basketball. And I feel like maybe some more things we should be working on are our pick and roll game, because I really haven't been seeing that much in games. It's more of
It's kind of a free flow offense.
Yeah, it's more of a
it's a lot
free-flow
of
offense.
kind of look. I mean, we played Tillman at the 5, which I thought was a mistake. We went with a smaller lineup, and we usually had him out on a 3. But it's kind of a flow-freeing offense where you just kind of look for the 3 ball, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, you guys are both definitely right. And now we can move on. Last week we had a show with our very own full cast of Ramped Up, where we had a roundtable discussion and made our own brackets for March Madness. Guys, I know you're already going to give me a little bit of some spiel about my choices, considering I picked Arizona State and Florida to make it to my Final Four. But I do just want to go ahead and make this one argument. I did say that an 11 seed would be a big shakeup in this tournament. And look at Loyola Chicago. They've come out, and this is a team that's on fire, and they're not done by the looks of it.
And I did say I'm the only one that can still get their finals prediction right with Kansas versus Michigan. Michigan's going to win this game, and Kansas is going to win, and then Kansas is going to beat Michigan. I'm the only one right so far.
Well, we'll be watching that, and there's a lot on the line for you now by the looks of it.
Yeah, and all
Too
I'm
bad
going to
no
say
money,
is
but-
I'm going to have to hop on the bandwagon and say go Loyola, because you just really can't argue with an underdog. When an underdog gets that far, you just want them to win. And now that they're that far, and that Duke lost, because I have them winning, which I'm very sad about, I just believe that they're going to win. And they've just been playing way too well. You don't just win 3 games in March off buzzer beaters. Hitting a buzzer beater is very hard. And 3 games that are very close and in crunch time, hitting clutch shots, I just believe that they're a team that can definitely win this. They have the potential to win and definitely beat Michigan.
And the reason I'm really wanting to pull for Loyola Chicago is, for this point necessarily, that the 11 seed to make the Final Four is still the lowest seed to make the Final Four in a men's tournament. So the furthest an 11 seed has gotten once they've reached the Final Four is simply just getting there. They haven't won their next game once they've gotten there. So, Brad, unfortunately, I'm going to be picking Loyola Chicago to at least break that streak. I want to see them in the championship game next Monday night.
One of the best players in the country, Mo Wagner in Michigan, went 0 for 7 at the 3, and he's their sharpshooter. There's no way in heck that's going to happen again.
He's also huge.
They're going to slaughter, really beat the heck out of them.
Loyola Chicago is a good all-around team. It'll be a really good game, and that's why I'm excited to see them this upcoming weekend.
Beilein's the most underrated coach in college basketball.
Agreed. He's had a phenomenal season.
It's very true. Winning the Big Ten.
It's not easy.
Twice.
All right, boys. Unfortunately, that looks like that's the end of our show. Thank you so much for watching us on Ramped Up. If you want to check out our show from last week, feel free to do so on our YouTube channel. That's all the time we have for now. I'm Jack Laudano.
I'm Brad Lofton.
I'm Shaun Njovens.
We'll see you next week. Thanks. Goodbye.